All right.
Thank you.
Well, welcome everybody to today's session, Reconnecting post-COVID. Glad that you are here. Hope you are enjoying the symposium. We've got a group of folks who are going to tell you a lot about some program supports for those you serve. And my name is Carol Lipinski. I will be monitoring the chat. As you know, you won't be on camera and you won't be able to speak, but I will diligently watch the chat, and we will make sure that we address what's in the chat. If you need some supports, I'll be putting some phone numbers in the chats so that you have access to those. And please make sure at the end, I will put the link for the survey related to the session in the chat. Please be sure that you fill that out at the end. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Ann Tarpey.
Thank you. And Carol, did you want to ask them to sign in so we kind of know who's in the audience?
Sure. If you would be nice enough to put in the chat where you work, your name, we would appreciate that. That would be helpful.
We're going to wait just a few minutes to get everyone in and give them a chance to sign up. And then we'll. I don't see anything coming in, and there we go. We got some people chatting.
Good.
So we have Bruce and Shannon. Daniel. Well, he's a leader. Hi, Joseph. Hi, Miss Natalie. Hi, Kathy. You were with us yesterday. Hi, Armando and Valerie. Okay, we'll let you continue to sign in. And as you do, oh, here, let me turn on my video so you know there is a person behind the screen. My name is Ann Tarpey, and I'm the Executive Director of the Governor's Council on Spinal and Head Injuries. And I've had the pleasure of working with the polytrauma team down at Savahex for a number of years, and we always work together to have a session for the symposium because they always have so much to offer, and they're such a great group to work with and to learn from. So this year we were thinking of what to do, and Dr. Susan Lucht and Dr. Hishaw, the medical director of the polytrauma team, thought about reconnecting because we've all been through a lot over the last 2.5 years and moving forward. And so let's think thoughtfully about the importance of reconnecting and how we might do that both virtually and in person. So while Dr. Hishaw is getting ready to speak, we're going to ask for the polling question. So when thinking about reconnecting as we move forward from the post-pandemic world, what is your preference in how you will engage in reconnection? Please select one. Got people signing in, yay. We have a few more coming in. All right, I think we will end the poll and show the results. And Dr. Hishaw, then you can take it from there. Are we good?
That sounds good.
And I will turn off my video camera.
All right. So as I'm looking at the poll here, which I believe is visible at this point, is that correct? That looks like a lot of individuals that are interested in, of course, being able to get back in person, right? So either in small groups or even larger groups, but certainly one-to-one, and having those opportunities to see each other and meet and greet. So let me my information here. So I will start out by saying good morning. I would like to welcome you to this session on the importance of reconnecting after 20+ months and counting of living in a COVID world. My name is Alex Hishaw, and I'm the medical director of the polytrauma program at the Southern Arizona VA in Tucson. I've been lucky to have been a part of this interdisciplinary team since 2008. So before we get started, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the Arizona Coalition for Military Families for inviting us here today. As you're hearing, we've been working with them for quite some time. I think when I was looking back at one of the first conferences that I took part in was in 2010. So we've had this working relationship for many years. And they once again helped us to put together a presentation that I hope you'll find stimulating and inspiring. I'd like to thank the team here at the Southern Arizona VA for lending their talents to this presentation. They each have a part of the story to share, and without their participation, you'd have to listen to me go on for about an hour or so. So I'm glad to have other members of our team that'll be joining me this morning and sharing our story of how we've tried to stay connected over the course of this COVID. I'd also like to thank you for lending your time and attention to what we consider an important topic. So one of the things that has always been at the heart of the polytrauma program is connections. When I first started working with traumatic brain injury, I was hyper-focused on prescribing the right medication for headaches, seizures, all these other symptoms that are part of the constellation that we think of as post-concussive syndrome. I learned early on, however, that relationships play as large a part in the rehabilitation process as anything that I could prescribe. Whether it was relationships with us as providers, relationships with family, or relationships in the community, these relationships played a big part in why a person might choose to continue on a path to recovery. Relationships and connections are fundamental to our overall health. And so with that, my focus changed. No longer was I focused on just the right medication to eradicate headaches because my job was to make headaches go away, but I became focused on working with the veterans that I serve to keep headaches and other issues from getting in the way of their ability to be connected. Then COVID came. And with that, it went after the very fabric of the program that we tried to build here. Not only were we at times disconnected from the veterans that we team with, but also from the other members of our own interdisciplinary team here at the Southern Arizona VA. It was a period of time, I remember schlepping into the office in the morning, going through a check-in, barely speaking a word to anyone, going to my office, closing the door, and just not having interaction with people. We couldn't go on like that for long. And thankfully, that period was brief. The use of Microsoft Teams allowed us the opportunity to bring our team into my office during a time that we could not come together in our customary fashion. Was it exactly the same as what we had done before? No. Nobody was bringing donuts or other attempts at doing healthy breakfast items, but we still had the chance to gather and share our ideas. With some creativity, we once again were able to share ideas and concerns and get back to feeling like a team, taking on the mission of taking care of our veterans. Not only did this modality allow us to connect with our immediate team here in Tucson, but also allowed us to connect with the polytrauma teams in Phoenix, Prescott, Albuquerque, Greater LA, Loma Linda, Long Beach, San Diego, as well as some of the VA programs across the nation. We've been able to use technology so that I've been able to converse with experts across the country who I may otherwise never have connected with. In other words, during this period of isolation, in some ways, we were able to make even greater connections and expand our world and make it a larger place. This called for a shift in our approach because we were not going to let this disease unravel the connections that we made over so much time. This didn't happen by accident. It was through intention. And with that ongoing intent, we will not only maintain the connections that we have, but continue to expand the connections around us. So what you'll hear over the next 40 minutes or so are different members of our team discussing tools that they have used to maintain our connections before and during COVID. What you will also hear are opportunities to continue to be connected going forward. So our lineup this morning consists of Mike Ramsey, Lindsay O'Shea, Scott Straczynski, and Joshua Parks to share some of their experiences in maintaining that connectedness. Whether it's through the phone, video appointments, use of protective gear, or use of spacing in the outdoors, we continue to work to keep the connections that we have and to try and grow new connections. My hope is that from this, you're stimulated to continue to make connections yourself, whether it be to beat the isolation of COVID or the isolation of traumatic brain injury. I recall a veteran telling me that during the period of COVID, I was the most consistent medical contact that he had had. I am honored that the polytrauma program remains a bridge to connect those that we serve to a bigger world. And so with that, I will pass the mic here to Mike. I think you're up first.
Thanks so much, Dr. Hishaw. Appreciate it. And welcome, everyone. My name is Mike Ramsey, and I'm the transition patient advocate for what is called the Post 9/11 Military to VA Case Management Program, formerly known as the OEF-OIF, OND Transition Program, and also Transition Care Management Program. And that's going to be on the test, so make sure you study that. So by the polls, I see that only one person said that outdoors in a recreational setting, park or golf course was kind of what they were looking forward to. Well, hopefully after this presentation, we can change your mind a little bit about that. Unfortunately, my counterpart, Deborah Martinez, she is our PGA Hope ambassador and has helped facilitate the program with me since its inception about 6 years ago. She's not able to be here, but we're going to press on and get through it and hopefully have a good presentation for you. Next, please. So talking about the importance of reconnection. So it's never really been more important, I think, than now and what we've been going through over the last couple of years. One thing that always kind of bothered me when this started was the term social distancing. Never liked it, never agreed with it. I thought that was the last thing that we needed. In fact, quite the opposite. We needed social connection. Even if we couldn't be there together physically, I really like the idea of calling it physical distancing because that social connection is so important to all of us, no matter what we do and where we are in life. The social connection is really what drives us, like Dr. Hishaw was talking about, especially when it comes to recovery. So we're going to talk a little bit about PGA Hope and what it is. So the HOPE stands for Helping Our Patriots Everywhere. It's the flagship military program of PGA Reach, and that's the charitable foundation of the PGA of America. So it introduces golf to veterans with disabilities and helps enhance their physical, mental, social, and emotional well-being. Next slide, please. So what it is, it's adaptive golf and can be played by people with almost any ability or disability. We invite any veteran in, regardless of how extensive their disabilities may be. For a lot of our veterans, it might just be PTSD, so they may not have those visible injuries that we can see. Some folks just want to connect with their fellow veterans in a setting where they feel safe. We had one vet in our last session in November tell me that because of his severe PTSD, he almost never left the house. And PGA Hope was really the first program where he was able to really go out and be amongst other people. He might go and do his necessary appointments, at the VA and the very bare minimum that he had to leave his house, but that was it. But coming out to PGA Hope, amongst other veterans, he felt very safe and was able to do that. We also, and you're going to see the picture later on, but we had a 92-year-old triple amputee come out to one of our sessions. And this was the first time he was able to do anything like this, he said, in over 20 years. It brought he and his wife both to tears, and maybe a few of us as well. It's taught by PGA professionals with specialized training in adaptive golf. It's basically a one-day training session that the PGA professionals go through. And also our volunteers, myself and Deborah and Scott Strzezuski, who you're going to hear from later. He's also been instrumental in this program, but they've all gone through the training. And why do we do this? We want to make sure nobody hurts themselves any further, right? If they have any type of disabilities where they might incur further injury, we want to make sure we avoid that, and that they get the best experience possible out of this program. So it may look like, or it may not look like what veterans were able to do in the past if they were able to golf and maybe had a severe injury, but it does allow them to learn or relearn the game of golf while building that connection. One of the things that we see quite a bit is sometimes our veterans, when they first come in, might be a little bit timid or a little quiet initially, a little reserved. But usually by the end of the 6 to 8 week session, we see a huge bond happening. In fact, today was our seventh of 8 session we had this morning. And you can really see this, the connections happening amongst the fellow vets. They're exchanging phone numbers. They're setting up tea times together. They're talking about going to the driving range together. And a lot of them are asking about coming back to further sessions. Unfortunately, with the PGA Hope program, it's primarily a one-time deal for our vets. But one of the things that we are looking at doing is we're trying to come up with some type of reunion tournament, because we understand that what happens in a lot of therapy sessions, et cetera, you do well going through them, you build your connections, then you kind of go your own separate ways. So we are looking at maybe doing something maybe once a year where we invite all of our past participants back and have like a small tournament for them. Next slide, please. So we generally, the next one, please. There you go. Thank you. So we generally host 2 clinics per year. And again, they are 8-week sessions. We are wrapping up the spring session now, and the next session comes up in August. And this is in Southern Arizona. However, if you get a chance to go to that link, and if you just want to Google PGA Hope Southwest, it'll bring you to this also. But they do have the PGA Hope program in Yuma, Prescott, Chandler, and Mesa, all those in Arizona. And also part of the Southwest is the Vegas as well. So that it's incorporated with the Southwest session also, or Southwest program. We definitely encourage any veteran to come on out. Again, even if they feel there's absolutely nothing wrong as far as a disability, whether it's your first event out, with any type of program at all, any kind of rehab at all, we definitely encourage our veterans to come on out and reach out and ask questions. It's been a great program, and we've probably had about 200 veterans come through in the last 6 years. We did cancel one session, the first fall session when COVID hit. We did cancel that, but later on we were able to kind of continue. We were hosting even our education sessions. We were kind of keeping those outside and trying to keep physical distance. And it's a great thing that you can do outside, right? And, we have learned through this that transmission rates are very low outside, especially when you do have some physical distancing between you and other folks. In fact, nationwide, rounds of golf have gone through the roof exponentially because it is very safe to do. And there on our right is that the 92-year-old triple amputee I was telling you about. Just amazing to be able to get him out there. That's a special piece of equipment he's in. It's called a solo rider. So you can see he's strapped in and he can turn it to the side so he can actually make a full swing with a golf club. So we use it for, again, amputees, bilateral amputees, as well as some folks that may just have balance issues as well. And on the left, we had there was an event up in Augusta Ranch in the Phoenix area, and it was a day of hope. So there was a handful of our students and our pros that went up there and participated in that one. Next slide. And on the left is just one of our classes. We normally get about 20 folks through. 20 folks through each class, depending on the sessions. I think our next session is going to be a little bit smaller. I think we're going to cap it at 12, just because the numbers of professionals that are going to be there. And on the right side, of course, you see a couple of our veterans and one of our veterans on the putting green. Next, please. All right, here's our information. Once again, we are with the Southwest or Southern Arizona chapter here. But please feel free to reach out. And if you have any questions about the program at all or how to connect with other sections, we are more than happy to do that. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Jim back on here. Thank you, Mike. And I think next we have up Lindsay O'Shea, who will enlighten us.
Hi, good morning, everyone. As Dr. Hishaw shared with you, my name is Lindsay O'Shea. I'm a speech language pathologist here at the Southern Arizona VA, and my presentation will focus on the telehealth platform that we utilize at the VA. It's called the VA Video Connect program, and I'll be highlighting how this modality has enhanced and continues to enhance connection for veterans who are engaged in speech language pathology services here. Next slide, please. So veterans in our interdisciplinary polytrauma TBI clinic may present with cognitive and/or communication difficulties related to their history of head injury, as well as possibly influenced by a number of factors such as poor sleep, headaches, mood, and pain. And so these veterans may experience changes in their thinking skills, such as attention, memory, organization, planning, prioritizing, thinking flexibility, as well as the ability to start, continue, or even complete tasks. So our VA site in Tucson serves communities across Arizona, such as Green Valley, Casa Grande, and Yuma. And telehealth has allowed us to connect with veterans for whom travel may be a burden, but it also has supported improved plan of care adherence for our local veterans due to its ease of access. Veterans can join our meetings in their environment, no commute necessary. And as you may imagine, a common challenge for our veterans with memory difficulties is recalling appointments. So the beauty of telehealth is that I can place a phone call directly to a veteran who may have forgotten their appointment. And as a friendly reminder, if they're available, they can promptly join our meeting. So veterans have been participating in telehealth sessions to target very functional goals that may be related to personal, academic, or vocational pursuits. And this VA Video Connect platform has provided us direct access into our patients' environments. So we are supporting their abilities to organize and modify their environments, as well as train them on use of things like external aids to help facilitate improved daily routine, as I mentioned, task initiation and follow through, as well as some other critical skills that relate to personal, academic, and vocational goals like time management, focus, and memory or recall. Next slide, please. So we use the term cognitive rehabilitation to describe the treatment that a speech language pathologist provides. And when working with our veterans who may be having cognitive communication deficits, a critical component of cognitive rehabilitation is training our patients to utilize external memory aids or visual supports, as I have listed on this slide, a few examples. So I wanted to share with you a few brief vignettes of veterans that I have worked with during the pandemic, as well as after emerging from the pandemic, to give you a better sense of how we're meeting with our veterans virtually and supporting their personal, academic, and vocational goals. So one veteran in particular began participating in an online academic program, returning to college. And I worked with him specifically to use a physical planner or schedule book to help him organize his time and time block lecture times, build in preparation for upcoming exams, block out times that he would need to use for writing papers, as well as unanticipated events that might pop up like quizzes or homework assignments, and really helping this veteran facilitate his schedule by using an external memory aid that he could have with him at his desk. And again, the beauty of telehealth is that I am able to see the planner that the veteran is using and assisting him to modify as able. Another veteran who I was working with throughout the pandemic was adjusting to working from home. So I worked with him to use a variety of computer programs to help him create a daily schedule for himself, as well as set reminders so that he could remember when to prepare for meetings, attend meetings, as well as schedule in frequent cognitive breaks. This is important for us when we're trying to manage energy and fatigue, as well as improve our attention. It's very critical to take frequent breaks throughout our day, especially with screen fatigue, as many of us are familiar with. So building in those reminders that he could set into his computer alarm provided him with hourly reminders to take a 5 to 10 minute break. And then one last veteran that I worked with throughout the pandemic lives at home with his family, and we wanted to support him in gaining more independence, managing his daily tasks. So we used both a whiteboard that they had on their living room wall that entailed his daily responsibilities, such as taking care of the family's new puppy and all the tasks that go along with that new responsibility. And we also utilized an Alexa home device by Amazon to help both the veteran and his family create lists together, add appointments, events to their calendar. And this really was a wonderful tool for the veteran and his family to be using together. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that information, Lindsay. And so you've heard a bit about the PGA HOPE program, this ability to get active from that standpoint, as well as how we've been connecting with individuals to continue to work on projects and designs that help them to continue to stay active from that standpoint. So now I'm going to introduce Scott Strzezinski, who's going to talk a little bit more about the adaptive cycling program that we have here. Take it away, Scott.
Great, thank you, Dr. Hishaw. Yeah, so my name is Scott Strzezinski, a recreation therapist here in Tucson at the VA. The bike you're looking at is, I'll just go over my program real quickly. The bike you're looking at was used by a spinal cord injured veteran, actually on the Tour de Tucson this last year. So people can be very active and have high goals and you know, achieve what they want. Just a quick overview of the program. Right now we have several TBI veterans involved. The spinal cord clinic is also involved. Several amputees, below knee, above knee, both riding hand cycles and pedal cycles. People with back problems, balance issues. So there's a wide variety of people that take advantage of active recreation, with biking being one of them. And being adaptive, people that need special equipment the equipment can be adapted to whatever their needs are. So there are really no limits to the things that people can do in adaptiveness. Some of the benefits that we have from active things, and it does, like I said, it doesn't have to be just bike riding. It could be golfing, it could be walking, it could be whatever your activity is. But some of the physical benefits that we get from those activities are improved balance, cardiovascular or improved circulation, improved hand-eye coordination, improve your range of motion, you increase your strength. Just being out doing something, you increase your visual perception, whether it's depth perception or when to make turns, figuring how fast you're going, and going into the turns at an appropriate speed. And then of course there's the weight loss and control that you get from doing different activities. And all these things combined also help increase muscle and bone density, improve your sleep, and also reduce risk for falls. Next is social benefits. We've been encouraged to isolate over the last couple of years, not really connecting with people, doing things on your own if you do. But a lot of it that we're missing out is the social things that also come with getting together with other people and doing things with them. It fosters communication skills, just getting together with people and having to talk, communicate, develop what your plans are for the day and so on. There's the connection with others, you build camaraderie with others. And then the online groups to connect with, just because you're encouraged to isolate, doesn't mean you can't still do the same or part of the same activities. You can join chats, you can read other people's blogs about the activities that you're doing. And you can also join forums, you can ask for advice. So, in that way too, it does encourage social interaction. Next is the emotional or psychological benefits. A lot of people have anxiety or depression. So we have ways of minimizing or decreasing those things by doing the activities, taking a chance and getting out and getting with others, which also fosters feelings of independence through being able to do things by yourself and to show others that you can do it. It reduces stress. It promotes self-confidence in yourself for accomplishing these things. And nurture that sense of well-being and having a positive attitude, a positive self-esteem. So the reconnection for here was getting to be able to ride, connect with myself as a therapist, or maybe passing by another veteran riding so they can exchange some stories or numbers and figure out where their rides are and what's a good ride for a beginner or intermediate rider. And then later on, we were able to have small groups. And then recently, we were able to reconnect with our community group, the Vila Vets, where we were able to kind of pass over the last couple of years and catch up again. And this has just happened in the last month or so. So we've had a good 2 years of not being able to ride with each other, and now we are again. So it's always good to be active. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Scott. As you were talking, I was thinking about, as a physician, I have the opportunity to work with a lot of individuals that take part in these other programs. And I often see the benefit of those opportunities that they have. And so, when I think about one of the individuals that I work with who goes, who rides the bike, and this person had a severe traumatic brain injury and has spasticity secondary to that. So has this increased tone or difficulty with movement on one side of the body. And with getting out and riding on a regular basis, I was able to see the improvement in that, that just the limbs were able to move more smoothly and the coordination was better from doing that activity. So there's these additional benefits that come with doing those activities. I certainly have a lot of individuals that take part in the working with speech as well, working with Lindsay O'Shea, and come back and helps with the organization to be able to keep up with taking their medications and to do other things that that we work on, and getting them back out into and feeling confident about getting back out into the community. And then I was going to say, from the standpoint of the PGA Hope program, I try not to talk to my veterans about that very much because it makes me jealous that I'm not out there with them when they have that opportunity to do that. But they often come back and talk about the wonderful time that they have taking part in that program as well. So it's always good to hear the things that they've done and what they bring back in their experiences, and just the confidence that I see and improvement in their ability to do and have these successes in doing different things. So moving to this next section here, we have a presentation that was going to be given by Catherine Starr. I am not Catherine Starr. She's not able to be with us here today. So I'm going to go through her slides and tell you a little bit about the program that they have on the VA Center for Development and Civic Engagement. It does Compassionate Contact Core. And this is a very important program, and so I wanted to make sure that we still had a chance to address this today, because I think it's a huge part of the connections that we make with the veterans that we serve. So you can see on this first slide here that this is in-home volunteer visits that take place through this program. And so it's in-home social interactions for isolated veterans. As you can see, looking at the date there, this is started as a pilot program back in 2011. And so this was something that was being thought of even before COVID came, because we knew that there were lots of other reasons that veterans might be isolated, whether it be their traumatic brain injury, other health issues, but things that made it difficult for them to come here on site onto our campus, or to get to other places where they could be connected. And so, as you can see, it started as a pilot program back in 2011 that continued through the year 2020, and then became a full program after that. Some other numbers that are shared there. There's 445 veterans that are enrolled in this program currently. 245 volunteers that have been trained to take part in this program. And as you can see, the amount of interaction is robust. 31,997 hours of interaction that have been tallied up through this program, with 12,174 visits that have taken place. And so this has really been a wonderful way to reach out to veterans to be able to keep those connections. And it didn't change during the course of COVID. During COVID visits, direct visits were suspended, but outreach continued. And so social interactions continued through such things as phone calls, texts, emails, video chats, cards, and letters. So there continued to be this reaching out and this connection that veterans were able to have, even if they weren't able to have those direct in-home visits for a period of time. So I think of one of the individuals that we work with who was involved in this program, and I know that he did such things as making phone calls regularly to the veterans and just having conversations about how are things going, how are you handling things during COVID, and having conversations about those individuals that were taking up things such as getting out into the yard and doing gardening, and discussing different ways of working in the garden. Discussing maybe, a lot of people spent more time on Netflix. And so they might spend time talking about some of the movies that they had seen, or some of the shows that they have watched. And just having these opportunities to talk about those, their experience and how things were going during this period of time. Next slide. So she also wanted to make sure that we knew their requirements for the program. So the veteran must be actively enrolled in the VA care program. They have regular appointments, receive the majority of the medical care through the VA, and are compliant with prescribed care. The other requirements is that the person is socially isolated, that for one reason or another, they're not able to come onto campus and take part in the programs that way. That they're willing and able to be engaged, that they're interested in having these connections and having these opportunities. Certainly it can be, you know, you see relationships grow over time as this outreach continues. And so it doesn't always start necessarily in the, that things are perfect in interaction, but it certainly grows over time. And then that the individual is stable. So just, this is in some ways to protect the person that's doing the outreach, that they're not going to be put into a compromised position with a person that is more ill and might need something more critically done than they're able to provide. And so those are the kind of requirements that they look at for the program. But as I was saying, you know, from my experience in talking to individuals that have taken part in this program, it's another one of those programs that I hear about quite often when I have my chance to meet with veterans, that will talk about how they've had the chance to engage with individuals. And I remember there was a period of time where there was a bag. This was once the numbers were doing a little bit better with COVID. And so the outreach was able to at least go and have a brief hands-on visit. And so they dropped off care packages that had things for the veterans that they could use and so forth. And I know that was well received by a lot of the veterans that are taking part in the program. So I believe that's the last slide that we have for this. Okay, and at this point, I will introduce Josh Parks, who, you know, through the magic of the technology that we have, is not here directly at the Southern Arizona VA, but joining us from our sister program up in Phoenix. So I'll let you take it from here, Josh.
Thank you, Dr. Hishaw, and good morning, and thanks for joining us today. So as Dr. Hishaw said, I am an adaptive sports coordinator with Phoenix VA Medical Center. Our program is a unique and high-risk program that we are fortunate to have up here. We work with veterans who come from all walks of life and experiences, and they're looking to participate in leisure and recreation activities, but specifically sports. So we assess each veteran that's interested and determine their interests, their goals, their current medical status, barriers, and most importantly, their abilities. We then develop a plan with the veteran and coordinate with community partners and shareholders to provide opportunities for the two to interact. So for example, in this picture, we have one of our veterans who just got finished shredding some powder up at Snowball in Flagstaff. It's pretty cool. I always find inspiration in witnessing like his kind of willingness, just jumping into a monoski and bombing down that mountain with nothing but 2 outriggers and a dream. It's pretty amazing. On this next slide, we have a couple of photos from our recent clinics. Our veterans have been reconnecting with friends and their community, as they start to feel comfortable again. Our adaptive sports program has been revving up with COVID restrictions lifting and comfort levels increasing. We currently offer racquetball, sailing. We're looking to get into kayaking. We've been doing some intro to scuba, badminton, archery, and we just finished our last cycling clinic yesterday. That's one of our more popular ones. We were all dreading the temperature increases. As we all know, it happens around this time of year, and well, it's here. So we're trying to move indoors now, hence the racquetball. Our program is constantly growing, and we're constantly seeking new community partners to coordinate with and to connect our veterans with. On the next slide, as a matter of fact, we will be hosting the National Veterans Wheelchair Games in July. We are honored to be contributing to such an amazing event's history and success. The Wheelchair Games is an annual competition that's limited to veterans who are required to use wheelchairs and power chairs to ambulate. This year, there are over 500 veterans who are registered to attend from across the country. And I believe between us and Tucson, we have about 15, maybe more. Scott might have a better idea on that exact number, but I believe we have about 15 veterans who are going to be attending. And with the support of the Paralyzed Veterans of America, our veterans will be able to connect with others, demonstrate their skills, and really display that level of determination that's found in the veteran community. We're also still seeking a lot of volunteers. So if you find yourself with any precious extra time in July, we'd love to have you out there, and we'd love to have your help and support. And I'd be happy to share any information with anyone that's interested. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that information. So I will take this opportunity to go back and look at some of the questions I've been seeing in the chat. Please, if you have questions or thoughts about some of what you've heard presented today, please feel free to put it in the chat and we'll try and address it the best way that we can. One of the things that was standing out to me as I was looking back through the chat was a question about the telehealth speech program. And I might throw this to you, Lindsay. But they're asking about availability to all veterans statewide. And is it only for those with traumatic brain injury, or is it available for those who have a history of stroke?
Yes. So thank you, Natalie. I saw your question in the chat box and I began typing a response, but now I can share this response verbally with everyone. So speech language pathology services are available to all veterans. Today, I just highlighted my work on our polytrauma TBI interdisciplinary clinic team, but I do additionally meet with veterans with history of stroke, as well as many other disorders and diagnoses. So a veteran may request an outpatient speech pathology consult or referral through their primary care provider. And SLPs like myself evaluate and treat cognitive communication, swallowing, speech, language, and voice.
Very good. Yes, I do believe that we have speech therapists at various locations throughout the state. And so there really shouldn't be an area that we're not able to connect with someone through the, I think as long as you have the ability to connect via video or through the internet, that we should be able to make that happen.
I'll actually jump back in and highlight a great program that the VA has for veterans who live in more rural areas. We do have what's called a digital divide consult, so that we're able to supply a veteran with a tablet so that they may participate in these telehealth services with any and all providers. So that's also a wonderful service.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because I think with the tablet, it does allow that for people to be able to get on cellularly. So that kind of gets rid of the need to even have an internet connection necessarily, I believe. So.
Dr. Hishaw, this is Ann. So we just have a quick question for Joel Larson to make sure we answer his. So Joel, were you talking about cycling and things? You're out in the Surprise area. Were you wondering if there were cycling programs, or was that the slide we were on when you asked that question? You'll have to use your fingers to respond.
He's saying yes, and so I saw there that Josh had mentioned that they meet at the Tempe Town Lake, but I don't know if you can get back on and maybe speak a little bit more to when and where some of their programs take part.
In the Surprise area.
But it looks like he's saying that Josh already got his information.
Oh. Well, we've got a great team on it, don't we, Dr. Hishaw?
There we go. They're working behind the scenes, even when I don't know things are happening, right?
And that's why you have a backup team, right? So I do have a question for you as well as your team members. Amazing. Well, first of all, thank everybody for the time they took to put this together, and then for sharing some really wonderful ways for people to think about connecting and the importance of it. But with long COVID, I don't know if you've had a lot of patients there at the clinic with who have long COVID, but a lot of the symptoms that they're talking about is that fatigue, and then just really finding it hard to engage in things. So I'm thinking that some of the some of the activities that were discussed today might at least help them begin to engage? Or do you have any thoughts on that, or am I?
No, I think you're spot on with that, and certainly, you know, the VA has started some programs already nationally, looking at how to address people that have long COVID programs, and some of the programs that they're putting into place really are things that have been utilized before through our polytrauma programs, and so it's interesting the overlap or similarities that we see between the experiences that people have after that. I think, as was said with speech therapy earlier, that that speech therapy is not just for those that have experienced a traumatic brain injury, but is beneficial for individuals with any number of things that are going on. And so I think any of these programs can be thought of the same way. When I was looking on the individuals that got onto our talk today, I was seeing some of the people that were associated with the Be Connected program, and so I know that's a really important part of what they do, is to have those connections. And so I think when we think about isolation and what comes with that, it was interesting to go to talks and hear people talk about the fact that for those that may have had a traumatic brain injury or other things that kept them isolated, that it really wasn't a change for them, and that this was more of their ongoing lived experience that they had had. And so a lot of these programs we've had in some manner or form even before COVID got here. They've been a huge help during this period that we've been dealing with COVID, and I think will continue to be a huge part of what we do going forward, and a huge thing that can be beneficial not just for people with traumatic brain injury, but for anyone that finds themselves isolated for any reason.
I have another question. So in some of the research I did in preparation for assisting the polytrauma team with this topic, one of the things that stood out for me is that when programs were starting to reconnect with their individuals, whether it was in person or virtually, what they found was that so many of the individuals really needed initially just someone to talk to because they had been so isolated. And then I think of that Compassionate Core program. But is that what you're finding? And this can be for the team and you, Dr. Hishaw. Is that part of what you're finding? Is that sometimes you just, the first part before they engage is just to kind of catch up with where they are and ask how they're doing?
Without a doubt. It was interesting to continue appointments during this period and find that a lot of the appointments change. And that certainly we had to spend time kind of addressing medically things that were going on, but part of the appointments just became an opportunity to touch base and just to share in our experience and things that were going on. And I think having those opportunities to connect were just as important for me, in all honesty, as it was for the people that I was working with, and really helped me through this period as well, because we all need to be connected. We all need to have those opportunities. So I don't know if there's anyone else in the group that maybe want to share from their experience, but that certainly has been my experience. I was looking at the chat there and just wanted to point out for those that Dr. Luckin was mentioning that the Phoenix VA is an established long COVID program. That Tucson VA is not too far behind in the planning stages for their long COVID program. And they're all focused around the ideas of promoting health, getting people more active and engaged, and looking at a person's overall health and progress.
I was going to ask Josh or Scott, are you seeing too that it takes a while for individuals to kind of warm up to the activity? And anyway, just your experience in engaging individuals in your activities and any of the other group too, but I was just thinking of the sports activities as well as Mike.
Sorry, were you asking just make sure I heard it right?
Right. So I know sometimes I don't make myself clear. I apologize. I need some help from Lindsay, I think. In terms of when they come to you to engage, does it take a while to kind of prepare them? Do they need some time just to kind of get used to being out and things like that? So how is that engagement, I guess, is what I'm asking about.
You know, with our program, it seems to be that the veterans are willing and really wanting to get out. So it's almost like we can't have enough resources available for them. But yeah, it's been very enthusiastic.
Yeah, for us too, you know, it's like this is something that they really want to do, and they feel like they need to do it, but they don't know how to get started sometimes. And that's a lot of times the hardest part, is getting started. As far as the group rides that we do, we suspended those for 2 years, and when we did get together again, it was like everybody picked up from where they left off. Like 2 years was missing. Like, where's so and so? We're missing people that they're used to spending time with that aren't there anymore. So they kind of missed out on 2 years of, you know, keeping up with others.
Great. And Mike, do you have any comment? I think people are probably excited to golf too, like our 92-year-old man.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Again, I think a lot of it depends on the individual. So I think a lot of them are very anxious to get out there, but others are very reluctant to do something that is new to them. They may not be good at it, right? So, hey, I've never golfed before, or hey, I used to golf, but now since my injury, I know I can't golf like I used to. So I think it really depends on the individual. But one thing I have noticed is that we are getting a lot of feedback afterwards, asking about other programs that they can participate in. So I think that's a huge success right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, as you were asking that question, and I was thinking of a lot of times that that fear of failure kind of keeps us from putting ourselves out there and taking on new opportunities. And so, you know, a lot of the initial work sometimes is getting individuals to take a chance, and knowing that we're going to be there to support them through these programs, and that, you know, after those initial successes, that we can then build off of that, and that they can continue to reach out to other programs and other opportunities, and really find themselves getting back to being more fulfilled.